Hi everyone. In this video clip I'm going to take you through the second and the third assignment for ESC413 Web Pedagogies. I'll just share my screen here and we can get started. Okay, so assessment 2 first of all. There's two parts to the assessment. Part A is the learning sequence and part B is the web resources. So what you're going to do in this assessment task is to describe for me some web-based resources that you would use in teaching a series of lessons, and then give me some sort of information about the theory that the resource is based on and how you would use the resources in an actual classroom situation. We'll go through and we'll look at each of the parts in a bit more detail. Well, before I do that, part A is 10 marks and it's 300 words, and part B is worth 35 marks and it's 1200 words. So part A is the learning sequence. Now, some of you may have had quite a bit of experience with lesson planning already, and that will be fine. But the thing to remember with this part of the assignment is that you don't actually have to do a lesson plan. I'm not interested in seeing lesson plans. The first part of this assignment is just to give me some sort of context for the lessons that you're planning, and a context for how you're going to be using the resources. So it's just a sequence of 3 or 4 lessons. It could be part of a bigger unit, or it could be a small unit on a particular topic. I'm emphasising again, do not supply lesson plans. What you do need to supply, though, is to give me an overall aim for the sequence, and that will come from the curriculum aim, the curriculum documents, depending on the subject area that you've chosen. And then from that rather general aim, I want you to identify 2 or 3 specific learning outcomes that you want your students to achieve as a result of these series of lessons. Then I want you to give me just a summary of the teaching and learning activities that you're going to use with the students, and you can dot point those if you like. And then just a really brief description of how student learning will be assessed in this series of lessons. I'm not expecting a formative and summative assessment for every activity that you do, but you're going to be doing activities with your students. How are you going to gauge the level of learning from those lessons? Now I'll give you an example, and this example is in the Interact 2 as well. I've taken an example from the English Stage 4 curriculum, the New South Wales curriculum, and it's called The Storyteller and the Story. I'm just going to come out of here for a second and we'll actually go in and have a look at, there we go, we'll have a look at the actual unit. So this unit I think was designed to go for about 6 weeks, so that's way too long for you to use. But if you look at the unit, you can see here that the first few activities, that's the start of the unit there. So lots of outcomes, lots of ideas and learning. So I'm not interested in any of that. I can find that if I need to. But if we take the first couple of topics from this unit, what makes a good story? So the students are brainstorming ideas and getting responses and doing different activities there. Then they're going to listen to a story. They're going to do some mind mapping about what makes up a good story and then what makes up a good storyteller. So these first 2 topics would make a nice little sequence of lessons for you to focus on. For this part of the assignment. Let's go back here to the PowerPoint and we'll see what else we have here. Okay, so the curriculum outcome would be this one here, EN41A, and then the specific learning outcomes that you draw from that might be, for example, to identify the elements of good story examine features of oral storytelling, compare oral storytelling in the past and today, and then to identify what makes a good storyteller. So you've got a broad curriculum aim, then you're going to break that down into some really specific learning outcomes that you want to achieve. That's the sort of thing that I need you to tell me. What is it that you want to achieve in these lessons? The next part would then be to identify the teaching and learning activities that you're going to use. And as I said, you can use dot points there if you like. I don't want a whole lot of detail. You're limited to 300 words, so it's really just to give me an overview of what you're going to do. Don't forget to add a sentence or two about student learning. How are you going to assess that? So this section gives a context for the next section, the main part. Don't submit lesson plans and around about the 300 word mark. So just give me a little overview of the lessons that you're going to use. The bulk of this assessment comes in the web-based resources. Now you have to use 3 web-based resources, not things like iPads or Microsoft Word. Be a little bit more creative with the resources that you choose. If I just escape and go back to the storytelling unit, and we have a look here. So one of the first activities here is brainstorming. So there's lots of brainstorming apps that you could use. So that's one possibility. So an individual reflection, so it mentions a class blog. So a blog would be another web-based resources that you could use. There's talk about mind mapping. Once again, that's there's lots of great apps around for mind mapping. And things like if they're looking at features of a particular issue like oral storytelling, they might do a Padlet to collect information. They might do a Powtoon to identify those characteristics. You might make up a Kahoot. So there's lots of different web resources that you could use. As I say, be a little bit creative with it, because you've got to think in mind that you'll be doing this with students and you want to use something that will engage students as well. So the report, this is the report, so it's a fairly formal piece of writing that you'll be doing. And it needs to have a structure, and there's a structure recommended in the assignment requirements with a series of headings: introduction, resources, description, explanation, analysis, and conclusion. You must have an introduction and a conclusion. Now, in the introduction, even though in part A you've talked about the lesson series that you're going to be doing, in the introduction you'll just restate that, just a sentence or two, just to introduce the whole report. Then you need to identify each of the Web2 resources that you're going to use. Include the link to each, because if you're using one that I haven't come across before, I'll go and have a look at it, and that makes it a lot easier to do that. And then just include really basic information. What platform does it run on? Is there any cost? If you like to put in a screenshot, just one screenshot for each resource, then please go ahead and do that. Then you need to explain how you're going to use each of those resources to enable the students to achieve your learning outcomes. So that's fairly straightforward. Probably the most challenging part will be the analysis and evaluation. So you need to do that for each of the resources within the context of the learning sequence that you've designed. And part of your analysis is to refer to the relevant learning theory that supports the use of that particular resource. And that's an area where I would expect to see some sort of academic literature being used. Then comes the conclusion, and in the conclusion you're just bringing everything together. You're summarising the contents of the report. I want to see your writing, your ideas come through, I don't really expect to see any sort of referencing in the conclusion. It's really the analysis and evaluation where you'll be putting the academic literature. So a couple of things about this assignment. It needs to be submitted in a Word document. It's a report, so use an academic writing style and use the headings to give structure to your report. So academic literature, I regard academic literature as coming from CSU Library and Google Scholar, those sorts of things. I've said here to avoid marketing descriptions, things that you get from the websites of different applications, things that say, this particular app will revolutionise the classroom, or this one is the easiest way to create and collaborate in the world. Well, that's unsubstantiated, it's just marketing material. So you need to avoid that sort of wording in your assignment. Word limit is 1,200 words. Remember, we're after quality, not quantity. So it's going to be pretty tough to get all of that information down into the 1,200 words, but that's exactly what you need to do. Please check the presentation requirements. There's things like cover sheets and what's required on the cover sheet and footers and things like that. So please make sure that you check that as well. Useful websites, once again, Google Scholar, and you can link that to the CSU Library. Grammarly will help pick up any errors to help you with your proofreading. And the Board of Studies site is now being transferred across to NESA, the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, and that's where you'll find all the curriculum documents. So you can go there to find the different curriculum areas for your assignment. I'll quickly go through assessment 3 as well. Lots of you are really up to date and just about fulfilled your requirement for that, so that's really good. The key there is regular reflections and show your thinking. You need to comment on other blog posts as well, and the comment should be not just, oh, I agree, or yeah, nice work, but to engage on an intellectual level with what people are saying, disagree if you need to. The number of posts that are required, there's one post for the modules 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 10, so just one post for each of those. Module 9's got quite a few, but I only expect short ones for Module 9. So that's basically the requirements for the assignment task. If you've got any questions, put it into the discussion forum, because if you're having a question about something, you can be rest assured that there are others thinking the same thing, so use the discussions. If you need to email me, my email is there, and I respond to that fairly quickly, and I try to do that with the discussions as well. If you're really stuck and you want to talk with me, then you need to send me your number and times, and then I'll organise to call you back. So good luck with that. I hope you enjoy the rest of the session, and I look forward to seeing these assessment tasks. Okay, thank you.